Well, hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Welcome.
This is a clean stream, and we're going to talk about economics
We're going to talk about
and the
basic
things that are
economics.
happening.
Yeah. As we clean, we got a lot of clean to do, though.
Exactly.
So,
You will see.
we're just going to get to the cleaning to start
Great.
because, hey, there's a lot to clean.
You're right. There's a lot to clean.
So, cleaning will be the priority numero uno. And then talking about economics. So, there's so much. Someone says, one of my favorite books, Basic Economics. Yes, if you're talking about Sowell, right? He does some good stuff too. But there's so many people who get so confused when it comes to bigger picture stuff like global scale economics and effects. And it's very hard for people. I didn't realize how difficult it was for some people until I got older. I thought more people like kind of naturally thought it, kind of like how some people are really good, thinking through mathematics or algebra, or like they have a knack for biology or something.
I didn't growing up.
Yeah, for me, it was like natural. And when I later realized, people don't know how to think through the actual, like, if this happens, then this happens and affects these things and keep going. But yeah, a lot of people don't understand that you can't have essential or non-essential without, affecting everybody in the economy, because people who are supposedly non-essential also are customers of the essential business, and in many cases are suppliers to, quote unquote, essential businesses. They might be providing things. And even just one important note, there was a store that was shut down. They weren't selling certain clothing items because it was non-essential. And there was a guy who was working in construction, which was essential, and he needed some new boots. He went to go get the boots, and he couldn't buy boots that he needed for his construction project because the boots were considered non-essential, yet he's an essential worker who needed the boots, because he had to go and work on a construction site. It's just that that limited thinking, that ignorance that comes up when you start, trying to cherry pick and central plan. So, all right. I'm just going to show here. We do have chamber flags. So,
Hey, Rika.
you can see.
Welcome.
Chamber flag.
Hey, Natty. Morning.
Do also check everything.
Hope you're doing well, too.
Manual check. Don't crush your finger, though. By hitting the slide release, that will be very painful. And make you cry.
Hope we're coming in well.
I hope so, too.
Anyone here for the Alex Epstein interview?
Yeah.
That was really great.
Well, yeah,
connection, sad on our end. His was great. Good lighting on his end.
Yeah, we've never had that before. In any of the things we've ever done, never had that connection issue. So
yeah,
that was weird. Also, it was like the NSA throttling us.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Ante. Oh. The
that's
Libertatum.
Really Money printer go burr. Well, yeah, I know. Sadly, that's been the case, and that's gonna have some effects.
I really like your picture.
That's a good one. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another element too, right? When it comes to economic ignorance, people don't realize the effects that you can't just print money without it having an effect on value creation.
QE infinity.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Here we are. So it's counterfeiting if you do it. Right. But when the government does it, it's needed. It's necessary. Or we'd all like stop.
A lot of people just don't get it. They don't get that you're not having value creation by having, paper or digital dollars printed. You're not having that part where someone's providing value to others and then other people are expecting value to be provided to them. So it's quite concerning. Yeah. I will also be covering today too. I got this DPM system, so you can kind of see it. It looks really shiny. So the DPM,
really shiny.
Yeah, is a spring recoil reduction system, and so I was testing it out, and I will be able to say at least today because I shot enough through it to recommend it. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit later too, just because a lot of people are looking for ways to just improve their gun's internal performance, and this is actually a super simple way to do it without, spending a crazy ton of money, in my opinion, and having to do anything that's mechanical or, machining it. It's literally just replacing the recoil spring. So,
yeah.
But in the meantime, I got to focus on cleaning because seriously, this needs to be cleaned.
Great.
Like how many?
Me too. So here I have an IWI Masada, and I wanted to wait to do a safety check and listen to what you were saying.
Oh, thank you.
Because I care. So
Someone
So
does.
safety, you look down and you see like the magazines out. You see,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, you see my yellow skin. Okay.
So yellow.
And then you stick your finger down here, or you can put this yellow chamber flag, and you see there's nothing. There's nothing in there.
Checking the barrel, making
And you
sure there's
look
nothing
down,
in there.
you make sure there's no squib.
Yeah, squibloads don't want that.
Don't like
But we had
squib.
no squibbies.
So the Masada, once you lock it back,
Actually,
I think I
someone
just turned this pretty
told me
high.
today that when you're having a little bit of that friction on the the slide closing, that it might just be machining and it needs to be worn down because it's new.
Yeah.
And when I did it before, again, I had to like pull this back a little bit as I pushed down the slide release. It was, again, it's new, so it's might be a little tighter than usual until you bang it in a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned from my instructor to be extremely paranoid about safety.
Oh yeah, that's the best thing
but
you
in
can
a
be.
good way.
Right.
And to get in the habit of always checking, even when you like know it's empty. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
To the point
but
where
just
you look
check
crazy.
again.
It's
Just
okay. Yeah.
do it what
It's actually
to the point where he looks crazy.
No, it's the best unhealthy
I thought that
seeming
of the
like
instructor. I was like, this
yeah.
is awesome. Go on.
Oh no! It's just it's the best
Okay, so-
seemingly unhealthy or weird habit you can have, which is just always check the gun no matter what, even if you put it back down the table and like I know I just picked it up. It's just building that habit ensures that no matter what, that habit will keep you from a potential bad situation. So really great instructor we had in a special training that we had. That was good.
Yes.
So
I didn't get the instruction manual.
Oh wait, I know how to take it apart though. Yeah, I don't. You don't. You just all you had to do is just say, "Oh, hey, could you move this down for me?" And I'd be like, "Okay, yeah."
Well, I could, but I want to try.
Oh, well, if you want to do it yourself, I won't deny you the chance. I already did though.
Oh, thanks.
You're like,
see,
you're
empty. I didn't like that the barrel was on me. Okay, I don't know, so I was far away. Well, gosh,
it's also like rough.
Happy Saturday.
You in there? Come on, take down lever.
How are you guys doing? Hope you're getting some vitamin D.
Okay.
Whether you just open your window, you stick your foot out, you know what I mean? Or you can go outside.
Okay.
Like a human being. And take risks because it's your life. Anyway.
No, I'm not
so
sure
yeah, I was thankful. Today we got to go to the outdoor range and it was good. I really enjoyed being able to go outside. And interestingly, I'm actually really happy, but summer just started to happen and it's gotten a lot hotter lately.
Silly me. I always forget what because I don't use these guns. I'm just like, you have to pull the trigger.
Oh.
I always forget that because it's like I'm not used to having to pull a trigger on most other types of guns that I prefer to shoot.
Striker fire?
For this, yeah, this is striker, right? Yeah. No. So
fascinating.
Yeah. After you get the takedown lever, which again it is tough, it's a little heavy on it. But I forgot you just have to pull the trigger.
Thank you. That saved me some time.
Yeah, it's a little. It definitely. It's gonna need some breaking. I can feel it.
You're a specialist.
Who is?
You.
No.
That's why I had you take it apart.
I know nothing.
What do you mean? You just took it apart.
Yeah.
You field stripped it.
I did.
Okay. So now here what you have is the sprig on the guide rod.
Yep.
And on the IWI Masada, it's actually just one piece. So you don't really take it apart. So you just separate it from the barrel.
Yeah, it is easy to take apart in terms of like the steps and the mechanics. It's just a little heavy if you're not strong or your hands are tired.
It's actually not that bad.
Oh yeah, that's super nice.
So yeah,
Here's
you
my
can
pieces.
see the gap. There's not much you need to push to get it in there. It's true. So it's out. You can clean that, and now you can take out the barrel. Well, oh wow, you can see how dirty It is.
Yeah, yours is very dirty.
It's very dirty.
So dirty.
Yeah, so I kept getting stuck today. It was nice to be outside, but
Essential Freedom
I
says
need to
go over the
lube it up.
slide rails and
Oh, hey,
contact
the Essential
services
Freedom. How
the
are you
polishing wheel.
doing? All right. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry for those who are in places where they have tyrannical governors and they can't shoot. That is rough. And I feel bad for those people.
Yeah.
Or they can't shoot legally.
Okay. I love these wipes. I know I've said it before, but I appreciate it. Specifically formulated for cleaning, lubricating, and protecting firearms. Long lasting for smooth, reliable function under all weather conditions. Thanks, the market. Actually, specifically this company. Can I say it?
Oh, Remington oil wipes? Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
Oh. You never know
I'm sure they'd
these
love.
days.
Yeah, I know. Well, here we are demonstrating how they're used. It's educational. So, yeah, you go and you just wipe it. So, yeah. So, unfortunately, yeah, it's become difficult out there for a lot of people, thanks to government shutting things down to shoot and get ammo and other stuff. You know, they've made
certain places for sure.
Yeah,
have really the state has really locked down. Like not just, locked down, but like literally everybody. Businesses, and they pick who can stay open and who can't.
Yeah, it's very crony, and FPC's already had to sue several localities, because they try to close gun stores, and many of them have already backtracked from, Philly to, I forgot which place it was in California, but there was a county, Santa Clara or something, and it's disgusting that they had to sue to be like, oh yeah, don't close gun stores.
Yeah. Right. I was saying to you the other day, it's like executive branch compromise, legislative branch pretty much compromise, and then last judicial pretty much compromise. But then you get some lawsuits here and there.
Yeah, I would say pretty much the judicial branch at this point, in my opinion, is the only place left where you'll find a meaningful resistance
protection
to
of the
tyranny.
individual.
Not that like it is robustly. Again, it's just there are judges, and you can get cases where it comes out right at state levels and in some federal appellate jurisdictions and things. There's still some of it, but really it's running out. The federal level, obviously, you ain't getting that. Oh, it was like Thomas Massey was the only one basically who
he was the only one.
Everybody else think Rand Paul was sick, so he didn't go or something. But
why is that? Why are there so few libertarians in politics?
Because libertarianism is anti-political.
What do they do usually besides politics? You think they're just doing nothing.
Because most people want to be libertarians are because they want to be left alone. They don't want to control other people. So the incentives are just not there.
Oh, for me, I was just going to say most libertarians I know are super hardworking. Like they're working all the time and they're providing value in the market, specializing in something. And I don't know. I don't really like being in politics because a lot of politics is trying to get people you don't like you, or people whose values you don't share in any way to like you.
It's just basically lying and deceiving people for power. So that's what it, by and large is.
Some people like it. It's a social game for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not really,
I'm not into it.
Don't want to do that all the time, all day, every day.
I engage just for the purpose of, just getting people to hear alternative views to, be like, oh, hey, maybe shutting down the entire economy is not exactly the wisest idea. Even if you think coronavirus is pretty bad, you will have lots of death and starvation because of, lack of economic productivity and starvation in second and third world countries and suicides. And of course, lost jobs and lost savings and all kinds of future problems that are, going to be compounded. So, it's tough. It's tough out there, but you got to keep practicing.
For a lot
and
of
training.
people, definitely.
Yeah.
It depends. Some people had savings. So I think
do.
this really jolts some people who lived in a, paycheck to paycheck debt life. And maybe this will push some people to radically change and be like, shoot, I got to save. And just treat this like, oh, okay, if I live in a place where there's like a lot of tornadoes, maybe earthquakes or rain or wind, I don't know, or hurricanes, right? Like, just be prepared for what may happen like once a year or something, or like the flu, you know? Just
Yeah, but it's
be
hard.
extra careful.
The
Buy
government
more
makes it
cleaning
hard.
stuff.
I mean, lots of
Clean.
people, they try to save and the government just comes in and wrecks them. Like Obamacare caused lots of people to lose their jobs, lose their
Not to
savings
mention
to
the
pay for
default
it.
income tax you have.
Yep. Tax increases if in a locality. People sometimes try to save and then there's inflation. It's really rough for people who actually want to be
Sales
responsible.
tax, property taxes, gas tax. There's taxes on everything. Alcohol tax. Tobacco tax.
Yeah. Tax on tax.
This really needed a good lube.
It needs a really good lube.
I think that's why I kept getting stuck.
Oh, definitely. It both needs to be broken in, and I think it just needs some good shooters
true.
lube.
I guess that is the very first time I took it out.
Yeah, that's the very first time. And also, I mean, we pre-lubed it a little bit, but I think it needed more than what we gave it.
Yeah. Cheers. Tax. Exactly. Taxation.
Luigi says, I was once a registered Democrat. I don't always agree with you too, but I still like to hear your challenges to beliefs I hold. Thank you.
I love it.
That means a lot to us.
Likewise.
Because at the end of the day, it's like our beliefs, like whether someone like fully gets on board with them or not, our ideals and ethics are really hard to like not agree with, because our ideals and ethics are we're trying to maximize consent and minimize the initiation of force. Like that's the ideal. Is that going to be perfect, or people are going to always be able to meet that? No, it's going to be difficult. But the ideal of trying to work toward that end, just like the abolition of slavery, right? Like there's slavery still in the world. It doesn't mean, oh, well, I guess slavery is okay. You're like, okay, just because there's still people enslaved around the world doesn't mean you don't stop trying to free as many people as possible. It's the same thing. Yeah. It's just an ethical, ideological, psychological liberation, which is, advocating for non-initiation of force at the foundation, just trying to use reason and respecting people's bodies and their properties.
Dude, so real.
So real.
Tear up.
So real. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but on that note, with Alex Epstein.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah,
once
I had
it actually
to do the
came
hashtag
through.
Epstein didn't kill himself. I'm like, not that Epstein, but I had to put the hashtag.
Might as well.
Just be like, hey guys, remember what happened before Corona? Lots of things.
Yeah.
Remember? Like, let's not forget.
Yeah, man.
Oh my gosh.
If only Corona came out earlier. Epstein could have been killed by Corona instead, and they could have really covered it up.
Ooh.
Ooh. Right? Too bad. So what were you going to say?
A lot.
All right.
But anyway, I remember. So yeah, even with Alex, he was saying, I was like, oh, at one point of our interview, I was like, oh, okay, so you're just trying to like minimize the initiation of violence and respect people's property rights. And he was like, no, I wouldn't say that. I would just see government as like a bodyguard. And, it was just like, interesting. But the main point here is if he's not actively advocating for violence directly against me, okay, I have questions about the exception he makes. Like, okay, if it's in wartime, if it's in quote unquote defense of freedom, then it's okay to initiate violence against other people and force them and conscript them. And I'm like, wait, no, you're an individual. It doesn't change. Your principle of individualism is still there. But anyway, nonetheless, I see an alliance and I really appreciate his work and I'm still a fan. And I'm really glad he already has that podcast that I asked at the end if he made. He's like, whoa, let me tell you.
I got a podcast for you. Yeah.
It's funny. It's like in the back alley instead of like whatever. Yeah. It's just like, I have podcasts.
Got any more than podcasts?
It's like Tom Woods in the back alley or Bob Murphy or insert favorite podcaster here. Okay.
Hey, look, we got a podcast here right now.
It's a clean and
A
stream.
clean and stream and talking about
Yeah.
economics at the same time. Someone just
Definitely.
mentioned too, who's it? Oh, I can't see it anymore. But scarcity, right? Scarcity is an important economics concept that a lot of people just
Thanks.
don't think too much about unless they actually start to, reflect and think about the nature of the world, right? Scarcity is an important thought process to actually wrap your mind around the idea that, okay, there's limited physical resources and there's conflict over those resources. And if you don't think about the nature of conflict over scarce resources and how to, that is, come up with a psychological way to address who should be respected in owning what and why, if you don't think about that, you can have people who are rationalizing all kinds of physical violence against people.
Yeah.
And physical acts of force. If you don't really weigh the nature of scarcity and weigh how people should be respected in that and why, and robustly, that's how you get all these people around the world getting mass murdered for whatever, because they say, whoa, well, we need this, you know what I mean? And you have what we need, so we're just going to take it from you. If the government doesn't like it, or if, whatever, the mob doesn't like that you would just have something, even though you haven't physically harmed another or physically defrauded or stolen, taken something from someone else, without a system of ethics built around the concept of scarcity and thinking about physical force and scarcity, it's very easy to rationalize all kinds of mass violence against people, which is definitely what we're trying to stop. That's for sure.
I think most people recognize resources are scarce in one
Yeah.
way or another,
They might, in like a local sense, like they might
Like
be like, oh, I'm running out of
conserve.
toilet paper.
Yeah, or maybe they'll stock up a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But
Yeah.
scarcity, someone says scarcity is man-made, and I'm like, that's not true. Scarcity is a default of
It's
existence.
like, I'm going to need some reason and evidence.
Because, reason and evidence, because again, scarcity starts with the nature of your body as relates to the physical universe, right? You can't stand in one place and have somebody else stand where you are without displacing you. If you stand on a place on a beautiful sunny beach,
They'd have to be on top of you, and
Right.
that's such a violation.
your very existence creates scarcity because your body is unique in space-time. And if you,
Whoa.
yeah, it's what it is. You got to think about it, right?
Wait, so you're telling me I could not stand exactly where you're standing?
Not
Without
with the physicality that we
violating
have.
Your body?
Well, without displacing
Or
you, that's
moving
an
you.
important part, right? Without moving my body,
We can't occupy the same time and place.
right? And then that's that first philosophical discourse, right? Is thinking
Wow.
through how do we deal with the conflict over scarce resources, right? What happens when two people want the same thing? Why should one person be viewed socially as having a higher claim to something versus others? And if you don't have that discourse and come up with a very consistent and reasonable, that is, can actually be metered out answer without everybody just dying, right? You're going to have a big problem. So,
Yeah.
Yo.
That's such a good point. I didn't really think of that growing up. I mean, I got it. For me, it was just like intuitive. I grew up really poor, and so I understood what it was like to not have very much at certain times, and not have abundance at certain points. But yeah. So yeah. Forgot what I was going to say, but
Well, scarcity, and you growing up, you understood what it was like
Oh,
to
yeah.
have scarce resources, right? Yeah.
yeah. But
You were raised in
now
the
I really
projects.
think about it more. Yeah. And I think about efficiency a lot more than I did when I was younger. And it's really fascinating, I just want people to have property rights so that if I, make a mistake with something, I don't bring everyone else down, just like the government does. They just declare ownership over all of us and all of this land and all of these resources, and they can just lock you down whenever, right? Whatever reason they come up with, if they can have the right footage to push the emotional angle and get some people like so emotionally wrapped into it, then they got it. And that's just what they do nowadays. So yeah. It's oh, and thank you, Conrad. On that point, stay in place orders are soft martial law. Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, it's
And
funny
hard
too,
martial
the
law.
term stay in place, stay home,
Yeah.
stay safe. It's just
Stay home or
such
else.
a obfuscation of reality, what they're really telling you to do, because it's under the threat of force. You know, in India, people are some of the police are like beating people who are violating the stay at home order, and
Oh,
they're
yeah.
supposed to stay home the whole time.
Yeah,
Like Italy,
It's way worse there. Yeah.
it's crazy. I feel thankful to at least have been able to go out. I mean, I don't think anyone should be deemed non-essential. I think everyone is essential in their own minds. Otherwise, they wouldn't be alive. They'd just kill themselves. You know, they're like, I'm going to do this. I think it's essential to my life and happiness, liberty, whatever. And they pursue it. And so that's why I don't like any other person declaring someone else non-essential. Like, just like, no, you don't have that right as another human being. No, like nobody does. So
I'm just chamber flagging, so I'm just so you can see again. It was in the hole, and now it's out of the hole.
it's really
Now
good.
It's in the hole.
You just got to make sure.
Now it's out of the hole.
Yeah, so you know nothing's in there unless there's a squib like right here.
Well, it's a good thing I'm not shooting anything to this issue, but
yeah.
No squibbies.
Yeah.
Squibs, in case you didn't know, are just, there's a bullet stuck in there because of an underpowered cartridge, and so the bullet gets stuck, and then if you shoot again, you can have quite the explosive time. You don't want that. But no, there's no squibs, as far as we know. Right. As far as we know.
Right. But anyway, it's crazy what some people are going through, and I feel bad for the people who really are just stuck at home, like, and are threatened. So I think it'll be really interesting to see. I don't know what will happen, if there will continue to be. I know it's empty, but nonetheless.
Oh, yeah. From Nam, you still got the trauma from Nam.
No. I've never been to Nam.
You want to?
Only in my dreams. Just kidding. I don't know why I say it like that. I know why. Okay.
Yeah, I know you know why.
Lots of Western movies. Hey, modern Renaissance man. Welcome to the stream.
Yeah.
Whatever you say, Marco, is essential. I mean, that's your money. If it's your property, you're not hurting anybody. Whatever. I just think it's so cool. I love meeting people and seeing people be free. And as long as we're not violating each other, great. Like, literally, there's no problem, Anyway, a lot of people live like that already. We just gotta continue promoting it. And hey, guess what? A lot of people are home right now. So just be one of those people who are in the comments, being kind to people, helping them understand what's going on in the world from a really compassionate way, or just blunt way as well. Honest. Who is John Galt? Guy that comments.
I think he said Jack Galt.
Oh.
Who is Jack?
Who is Jack Galt?
He likes guns, and he likes tigers.
He knows the raw.
Yeah. Well, the hard part is that literally most people, and I'm saying this generality, I think it's not really a generality. I think it's an accurate descriptor, that most people are stuck in a perverted their whole lives. They really haven't been reflective about their childhood, the nature of existence, and the nature of how different adults treated them and how that affected them. And I think
I have nothing but compassion for that, honestly.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a big focus of mine, definitely. Yeah. I talk about it all the time. Every chance I get, I'm like, self-knowledge, psychology, talk about your childhood. Or understand what your childhood was like, and that it was unique to you, and it left an impression on you for better or for worse in different ways. But the point is to just understand all those ways, positive or negative, that your childhood and whatever you went through, your adulthood, your current life, your current traumas, right? If anything, your lack of needs being met, affect you. So, yeah, I think it's just so important. I mean, that is just the lifeblood of your soul. I mean, just understanding your inner world, I think, is one of the only things that we have in this life. You know, I saw a meme where it was just like, the Second Amendment. That's all we got. And I'm like,
That's not
okay,
all we got.
wait.
Silly goose.
I'm like, okay, really? You just got your life, your liberty, your property, and your relationships with other people. Like your network, your social network. And yeah, that's it. And the extent of those you have is how I think happy you are with, the fullest extent of all those things being nirvana, I guess. Just total freedom and total liberty, total peace, and no one's at home. Like China.
That really
You're gonna
communicates
be
so
blocked
much.
now
You will
because Chinese
that generalization.
government bought YouTube.
Well, if you want the Chinese government to not hear this, then you just say Tiananmen Square and
Oh,
the
okay.
date that
Free
happened.
Hong Kong. Does that work?
No, Tiananmen Square is like on the China firewall hot list. Like if you put that seriously in like some China person, like 50 Cent Army person or whatever, if it will shut down their computer immediately. They have that firewall, that the Tiananmen Square and the date.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So yeah.
That's nuts.
So yes, it's important to help work to change minds and get people out of the matrix of, being reactive and not thinking about the nature of their existence and how they came to be and how those in power, claimed self-proclaimed power, how they came to be in their positions. What was it that led to that whole history, that whole story.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And also look for ways to be free, like
Be free.
technological ways,
Like
Yeah.
what?
Like 3D printing, different things, ventilators, masks, houses, a lot of things. And it's pretty cool. I mean, despite the crazy Orwellian statism and lockdowns, the ability to communicate and connect with other like-minded libertarians all around the world has never been of this magnitude before. And I would say it's only increasing because, unless you're monitoring everybody, I mean, you specifically, you don't know all the initiatives of like different developers, people, anybody just trying to build alternative systems for people to trade freely and free from coercion or bank without permission. There's so much initiative out there. So it's almost like each day I would, how can I estimate the progress of whatever 7.6 billion people on this world or something? It's but I know it exists. So I find a lot of hope in that there are a lot of people really pushing forward the ideas of liberty and compassion and voluntary trade, capitalism, property rights, and peace. So I see it also improving whilst there's a lot of initiative making it worse for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see how this all ends up unfolding because, as it stands, my personal prediction is that they just keep continuing the tyranny and pushing and seeing how far people are going to be willing to take it because it's already happened in many of the dictatorships around the world and also places that were like already kind of the border, but, they just went full dictatorship powers. I mean, in many countries, you're actually just seeing the direct violence happen in the name of coronavirus, where the executive is just claiming the ability to make rules ad hoc and just arrest people and round people up. I mean, it's literally happening other places in direct ways.
Yeah.
So I think those over here, though, are going to see how far they can go. I really think that's the case, is that they're going to see how far they can take it,
right,
before people really start at least filing a bunch of lawsuits. I mean, even the ACLU is not filing lawsuits over the First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendments, which is completely insane. They're like suing over like Planned Parenthood. Like, it's like, hello, what about all the people being stopped without reasonable suspicion? That's kind of a big deal. Hello.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how far it goes.
Definitely. It makes me wonder, like, are all of these governors just in coalition and, they just understand the different cultures and demographics in their state or whatever? So places like, but they just all know and they're like, okay, all right, New York, California, you guys are already crazy. You go first.
Mhm.
See how far you can go. We'll learn from you. What do they have to lose?
Not a lot.
It's funny.
honestly.
I always bring this up, but it's just like some people say politicians are just stupid. And
Some
I mean,
are.
it just depends.
Some are.
Yeah, okay, you could be more
Some
specific.
aren't.
Right, some
Right.
are. But some are incredibly sophisticated
Yes.
and intelligent.
Right.
But they have completely different values from people who want liberty. But they can be just, as intelligent or specialized in whatever, and it exists, and that's the battle.
That is the best.
That's just the battle.
battle.
It's been going on for so long. Isn't that crazy? We all inherited that. Just
Yeah.
this history of
Battle for liberty.
humans and just different humans throughout history, some choosing the path of liberty, some apathy, or fighting for good, or apathy, or just fighting to control people and kill people.
Yeah.
And just hating other humans. So
It's sad.
it is. I think that most evil comes from a place of hurt. Speaking of childhoods, like, I think a childhood of being denigrated or abused leads one to like have a general hatred for quote unquote humanity, because like that's their experience with it, ingrained in them. So another reason to push self-knowledge and to understand yourself and yeah, your inclinations.
Well, now more people can, if they actually, if some people have downtime and they're not in a bad place, this is a great time to actually start to think about those things, the big philosophical questions, and to start thinking about how they talk to others, and if they can improve how they communicate and how they treat their loved ones and the people who are most important to them. Hopefully that happens. Because I know some people there's like divorce rates spiking in other countries, at least from what I've heard so far, because of like
Really?
people having to work closely at home, and like there being tension. So the financial stress, of course,
Wow.
is naturally going to increase divorce rates, right? Like it's just a kind of a generic statistical occurrence. The more financial stress couples have and the more difficulties, the more likely there's a possibility for divorce.
Wow.
Financial struggles is certainly an issue, and if one's not spending right.
For me, that would just reveal an issue that was there for a while.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
And well, for a lot of people, it can be fatal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, it's rough. But, the main thing is, if you're in a position right now where, you can take care of yourself.
It's like, is this lubed enough?
You can actually use the hops lube over there on it.
Right.
Yeah. On the side. Yeah, definitely got to get yourself ready for what's coming. So.
Seriously. I didn't think I'd be saying that. This is the worst recession, a lot of people have gone through in their whole life. So.
Yeah. By the time it's all said and done, it definitely will be the greatest depression of all time. That's for sure.
There will be a calm before the storm, and there will be some people that capitalize on it. I hope a lot of libertarians can capitalize on this. The fact that certain goods and services will be cheaper at this time with the lack of spending. So I think that certain people who have the means should stock up whilst it is cheaper, because that is exactly what the most powerful and rich people will do. The ones in control of the state, in control of governments, are doing. They're the ones that have the insider knowledge, the money to just buy things up cheap. You know.
Well, that's what happens with banks, right? Whenever there's policy that's meant to make a lot of people lose their homes, and the banks, foreclose on them and get them, and then everybody's homeless. So, and then yeah.
Well, poor and middle class, yeah. Not
well,
them.
there's rich
Not
people.
them.
Again, there's
not
poor,
everyone.
There's poor spending rich people. There's people with a lot of money, but they live paycheck to paycheck because they don't plan, they don't save, and they don't, diversify their income, and they're just, spending, and then their recurring expenses overwhelm them. So there's definitely plenty of. I think I read it was something like 30 to 40% of Americans were living paycheck to paycheck, essentially, and that included people who were making. 40? Yeah, it was, and that was
That's
like
a lot. Dang.
A significant portion. It didn't matter whether you're rich or poor. Like people with 6-figure incomes and people with very low incomes didn't matter. There was diversity across the board. People just living paycheck to paycheck. So, wow. Yeah. Someone mentioned gas is really cheap right now. I know, and then Trump's like, "Oh, we'll help put pressure on the Russians to cut their production." It's like, are you kidding me? Like, I want this cheap gas. Stop. Yeah. Stop, Trump. I want cheap gas. Let it get cheap again.
In some places, it's getting close to $1. It was like $1.09 I saw in someone's picture.
And so there was one place that actually went under $1 a gallon somewhere in the United States. It was like Kansas or something, or Kentucky.
Right.
What are them K names?
And so right in the middle of the states.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah.
You gonna clean your Glock?
Yeah. So I also got a Glock 44, shoots 22 LR. It's a little plinker.
It is a little plinker.
Little plinker.
I personally don't like it, so there it is. I said it. I don't care for it. I mean, maybe
no
it's just
feelings
me.
Hurt.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't be, for some reason, I just can't shoot accurately with it. I think I can actually shoot more accurately with the Ruger SR22 than with the Glock G44. I don't know. Something about, even though it is otherwise relatively comfortable and there's no kickback, right? Like you would expect, oh, wow, there's no kickback on this gun. Like literally there's nothing. And you can hold it, pretty comfortably. And there's even different grips you can put on it. There's small, medium, large. So you can make it comfortable. When I would aim it and I'd have equal height, equal light, holding it tight, isosceles in, whenever I shot it. I mean, I think might be because, it is shooting 22 LR, which is not exactly the world's most accurate, especially if you don't have a good barrel twist.
By the way, isn't wind a consideration at an outdoor range? Like if you're outdoors and it's particularly windy, because I felt this wind behind my ears.
I don't think it would be too much at 5-10 yards, but
it.
Oh,
thanks, Robert. I want to see that super sticker.
My hands are caught. We'll have to go back because I can't touch it.
Can I just go around?
You can go around and touch it, but I can't. My hands are preoccupied with this barrel. So gotta clean.
You gotta what?
Clean. Gotta clean.
Oh, thanks, super.
Thanks, Robert.
Oh, I wish I could.
Oh, now I'm washed out. Now you're gone.
Oh. What?
Yeah.
Okay, welcome back. Nice.
So someone says mass, sales show people forgotten how to take care of yourselves. Just wrap a scarf around your mouth. Well, that doesn't exactly work. I mean, wrapping a scarf again is not really going to help because again, what makes the N95 mask good in the first place is that they don't let anything through. They have really high, density of fibers. So you can't just wrap anything around your face. But that doesn't mean N95 is the only solution. There's lots of different grades of masks and materials you could use. You can make your own mask from material that
including
literally
3M's own.
Right.
That was blocked, right?
The NK mask, the NK95 instead of the N95.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Sorry, I keep hitting this
Government
mic.
regulation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Blocking
Don't think
progress.
just wearing any cloth is going to save you from viruses. You know what I mean? It won't.
Better than nothing. But
I mean, some ones are just about on par with nothing, but it just doesn't. It's silly. It just doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? A lot of it is, in my opinion, just not worth it. You know what I mean? If you're not if you're not going to meaningfully like take care of yourself otherwise and clean your hands and shower regularly, use bar soap, you know,
bars.
to actually break off the virus in your body if it somehow gets on you.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have a holistic health of, you know, cleaning your body and taking care of yourself and, you know, not touching funky things. So,
do you want to share some basics of how things get, like bacteria gets into your body? Like, what are common entry points?
well,
Wounds.
yeah, like your
eyes,
actual skin itself
holes.
is a good barrier against viruses. It's just, you know, if you have obviously open channels, right? Your your respiratory system, if you get cuts, what am I doing?
If you breathe something in, it goes straight to your lungs.
Right. Nice.
I really like your Daniel defense.
I do too. It is nice. It was a good decision to get way back in the day. Way back.
Who is Jack Galt? Who? Oh man, I need to read the rest of Atlas Shrugged after talking to Alex Epstein.
Yeah, and not watch the movies.
He's like, don't watch the movies.
Well,
They're terrible.
They are
I'm like,
terrible.
okay. Yeah. Oh man, it's a long book, but it's really good. I got like, I'm pretty sure the first third or something. It's really good.
There we go. Cool. I'll probably, you know, clean out the barrel next. I'll just put stuff through it. But
all right.
All right. I'm gonna wipe my hands really quick.
Okay. So. Well, I'm excited to try out this again. And yeah, I'm definitely going to put a little glob of oil on it. This is hot.
Yeah, I would say lube it up. Lube it up good because it's definitely needs to get broken in.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, it's a polymer frame there.
Interesting. I really can't wait for the Dan Wesson.
The DWX, yeah. I'm so excited about that.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy times. That's all I gotta say. And for sure, it's crazy. Some people aren't really feeling much of a shift.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe I think pretty much everyone is doing the social distancing. Most people.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the thing that affects everybody. But some people get to continue to work anyway. And for them, actually, they may feel a benefit because if they have to work, okay, they have to drive. So now gas is a little cheaper. There's less people out, so there's less traffic. And it's really interesting how, you know, just recognizing that people have very different experiences in all of this. But yeah, I hope it teaches people for sure about scarcity or that now that they're home, they just
they feel
find
it. They
more
may not recognize
videos
it.
about economics. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are you gonna do now?
Oh, I just need to put a glob of oil.
Some more oil. Be careful. If you say that too loud, the U.S. government might send some soldiers here. Like, you don't need those essential oils, do you?
Share with the rest of us for our tanks and fighter jets.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh man,
Well, I will say, so this
so oily.
DPM system here, while I'm at it, is I will say it was great. So what I did was I put it in and just replaced the spring, the recoil spring that's in there. And then what I did is I charged it a bunch of times, maybe like 30 to 50 times around, and just did that manually at home, just cocking it back and forth, just to kind of break it in. And then when I used it today, literally not a single problem. No hang fire. Well, let me say no, stovepipes. No, failure to feeds. Nothing that would, be of any issue. And the main benefit that I saw mostly for me was that it was able to reset faster. So, double tapping or shooting faster, it was much more able to be done even with those already single action. The recoil reduction, I think, was modest, and I heard that for 9mm is more modest, but the fact is for the actual reset aspect, it was much faster. But from what I hear, if you have a 40 or 45, the recoil reduction is actually very significant compared to the 9mm. But again, to me, it was just worth it. Now, I've only tried the longer spring, but there's also a shorter spring, so eventually we'll try that next. I'm gonna try the shorter spring. So it comes with 2 springs, in addition to like this little system where it has springs and springs to like help, basically take or cushion some of the impact. So I would definitely say from this experience so far, I would definitely recommend it. And a lot of people are saying the same. So those who've tried it. And yes, someone was just mentioning here how the H1N1 was, a very big sickness issue, and there's hospitals being filled with people, and that still didn't make the government say, oh, we got to shut everything down. It's true. People want to say, oh, the virus, coronavirus, or SARS-2, that's way more contagious. It could be more problematic, but it's like, yeah, but lots of people were still dying in the same kind of numbers, and hospitals are still being overwhelmed. Like it wasn't an issue, in the comparative. So it's one of those things where when you start to actually look at the history in terms of actual comparatives, when you're sitting there and saying, well, what actually happened, right? Because there weren't shutdowns, that means there was people dying and people filling up hospitals and stuff. The governments weren't, saying, oh, we need to shut down all the economy. They had, declared states of emergency in different places, but still didn't shut down the economy. It's important to look back at the past and not forget the manipulations and how they try to reframe it. Are you about to put it on?
Yes.
I'm excited for this part.
So, what shows have you liked lately?
Obviously I like Tiger King. That was great.
Obviously.
Tiger King was amazing.
What's obvious about it?
Because it's like the number one, Netflix show. Obviously it was great. And then what we watched, what was it called?
Cells at Work?
Cells at Work was good. We only watched a couple episodes. What was that Netflix show though with the Hasidic Jewish woman who fled?
Yeah. Unorthodox.
Unorthodox, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually, in terms of just like the storytelling, it was better than expected.
Great cinema.
But definitely made by some,
I think SJW
angry
feminists.
SJW feminists. Yeah.
Well, it was like the memoir.
But there was some, reasonable
somebody.
critiques there.
Oh, thanks, Tyler. Cheers.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hope you're staying safe.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So he said here, I'm trying to help some friends and family that lost their job and can't afford food or rent. And I'm the one being called a murderer because he would want to go back to work, albeit in a safe manner. Yeah. That's the thing.
It's horrible.
People don't get.
I've been seeing that videos of people shaming somebody. It's like, what the heck?
Yeah, all the Karens coming out and be like, "Oh, I'm going to report people." There's someone
nosy Nancy's. That was the name before. Now it's Karen. But you remember the nosy Nancy's? Like, don't be a nosy Nancy. Like, somebody who's just like all up in your business and you're not hurting anybody. They're just like,
right.
And they're calling essentially SWAT on you.
Like,
You
I'm
could
gonna
say
call the
police
police.
officers, but
Yeah.
might as well be SWAT.
Right.
They have a lot of guns. So it's crazy.
Yeah. And
It's
they're
nuts.
just,
So thanks for doing what you're doing. I mean, I think we're gonna see a lot of disobedience too.
eventually there
mean,
will be
I already
invariably.
see it. People are getting beaten for being outside. That's the disobedience. It's already happening.
That's true. Yeah.
People need to go outside, and what better way to get rid of the virus than to go in the sun? Just like, don't sneeze on people. Okay, great. Don't breathe their air. Okay, cool. Like, I don't get it.
Well, it's hard to do that outside unless you're like wearing a mask. But I mean, yeah, it's like the idea of like you should make yourself go insane, get stir crazy at home and, feel worthless and not get sunlight and vitamin D and fresh air for your own mental well-being. You know what I mean? How is that making people healthier, right? You worry about being sick. What's going to be the sickness of all these people not getting fresh air, not taking care of themselves, being afraid to exercise, even though some places, of course, they say you can still exercise. Obviously, there's plenty of people who are like still afraid. How many people are going to be negatively affected in their physical and mental health because of the economic effects and the social effects? So again, lots of people don't think about those ripples and those unforeseen to people who are economically ignorant consequences. But it's absolutely going to be horrific. I mean, and the unemployment numbers alone is, when you look at that, and that's going to keep growing, of course, that's going to lead to people focusing their attention to the unemployment itself. And of course, they're going to want to go back to work even right away, even if there was things lifted. No, because they just spent all that time, filing for unemployment and adjusting their lifestyle. So there's going to be lag from that and from the stimulus. So you know what I mean? All those businesses that had those employees are going to not even be able to get them back immediately, even if they wanted to. And there's going to be a lot of fallout from that as well. So, you got it on?
Yeah.
Nice.
So, I had to lock the slide back. So, that took some strength. Had a little struggle there, but I got it. It's locked. I like it. It looks really nice, and
you just now got to get used to the
I just don't like
sight.
how there's a feeding issue, but it is the first time that I shot it. But I lubed it up, and
I didn't have that with my CZ75, so I don't know. I'm just
true. Also, on that note, can't wait for the Dan Wessons. Wonder when it's gonna come out.
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah, I know. Thanks to all this, now the people who were expecting different guns to be made this year and were excited about maybe getting a new model or upgrading what they had, now they're going to be in limbo, wondering if the companies are going to be able to come through with all the disruptions. But I mean, a lot of gun industries obviously have done well because people are buying like crazy, but it makes you still wonder, whether they're going to be able to come through with all the raw supplies and everything else they need in production for new models or whatever ammunition, this or that, so. But
definitely.
It was nice to find a place with some 9mm today, though. That was great. But they're like, oh, yep, 2 boxes. That's it. You get 2 boxes. You get your ration of your 9mm. And it's like, we're like, all right, 1 Blazer box, 1 PMC. And we're like, okay, we'll take it.
Suddenly, everyone's a socialist.
Poor man's cartridge.
You only get 1. Each family, only 1.
Yeah.
You know what that just incentivizes? For people who really need more than 1, they're just going to come back more often. Like,
that's true.
I don't get it.
Well, that's a good point actually about the
unless you're gonna do this thing where you really enforce 1 a week.
Like,
I don't know what are you gonna set a time? One per customer a week. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like,
hey,
if you're not gonna do that, then you can't really enforce it, and there are gonna be people that are just gonna keep coming back. So either way, you're gonna keep.
They wear like
so
different
just
disguises.
Have price discrimination. Jeez.
Right.
And the people who really need it, well, now they get the convenience of being able to buy something in bulk, sure, for a lot, but they need that much and they can do it in one go. That's super efficient. And it's also efficient, talk about scarce resources. You have efficiency right there. So.
Well, what's kind of scary to me, because out shooting stuff, you're in rural areas and all these people who are used to buying in bulk, right? If you live in a rural area, you don't live in suburbia or a city, you're used to being like, I'm going to go to the store and buy a month's worth of food, maybe even 2 months or more at a time, right? Because you live in the rural area. You don't want to drive an hour or a half hour, whatever, to the nearest supermarket. And a lot of these people who are in rural places are now being screwed because they're used to being like, oh yeah, I would just go and pick up a month's worth of supplies and then, not have to keep going back. Nobody considers all the
No.
people who live in rural areas who
That's a good
have to
point. I
travel.
didn't think about that,
Yeah,
There's a lot of silent victims
Yep.
in all of this,
right.
Yeah.
Are you one of them?
Hmm?
Or are you a vocal victim?
I'm a vocal victim.
That's
Wait,
good.
we're all victims of the state.
Yeah,
I'm not saying like have a victim mindset. I'm just saying like
right.
we've all been victimized by the state. Like
just
you
a
pay
fact.
things because you
Right.
don't want to die or go to jail.
Right.
You oh. Nice. I
You're
really
so
like your CZ.
I do too. It's easy, very nice.
I
Very
was
nice.
using my Masato with the dot sight, and for those of you who were here, we did a live stream just to clean it and do a field strip. I guess I didn't lube it well enough. But I did this time, and I broke it in a little bit for the first time. So, but yeah, after I shot mine with the red dot sight, I still like the CZ much better. Like that single action trigger pull feels so good. Resets really well. Yeah, really well. It was funny seeing Jack Galt over here rapid fire, and he had the biggest smile on his face, and then the RSO was like really nice about it. He's like, "Oh, so you can't rapid fire over here." It's really funny. But point is, the CZ's made for that. So we'll just go to the rapid fire section next time. But yeah. All right, so just checking that it's empty again, so you can see the white of my shirt or the blue, black hair. Okay, it's empty, and then this slide is locked, so you can just make sure there's nothing in there with your hand, and you feel a divot, and there's no bullet. Otherwise, it'd be straight. And we're good. So just make sure it cocks back fine. Okay. And okay, again, see, I know it's empty, but you just gotta be safe. It's just a habit. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it's empty. Okay. But you always point in a safe direction. Okay, and it works fine. So great. So that's field strip. Thanks for hanging out. That's just the Masada. So now I need to do the Glock 44. So, and I need to clean the lens of this red dot sight. I really like the red dot sight, by the way, and the Masada in that it's really challenging me to be steady with my grip and work on my form. Because it's so obvious with the red dot sight when you're shaking, because it's just like this little tiny dot, and if you just move just a little bit, or if you're shaking, you'll see how it's moving, and I noticed that happening, and I think it's good training. So I'm excited to go back and oh, thank you for the lens wipe. But yeah, I'm excited to just keep practicing. So speaking of, I think if you can, especially now that apparently gun stores and ranges are deemed essential on
Not everywhere.
not everywhere.
I mean,
Oh,
it's basically it should. Well,
in the CSIA or CISA.
I don't know, but it's just basically like, yes, it should be, but again, there's still legal battles that may be looming. So if there is anybody who is facing that, again, hit up FPC because they want to sue them.
Yeah, so there's that. If you're not in a place, do that.
Yeah.
But if you are in a place, I mean, seize the chance to just just see what's happening over there and like get to know your local people who a lot of them are libertarian,
At least 3 of them. And the rest of them love Trump, even though he took away their guns.
I know.
But yeah. So in the meantime, yeah, it's important to still, do what you can to enjoy life. Some people are like, like
And
don't enjoy
the
life.
market.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Just like get to know
Find
people in the market,
alternatives,
farm.
look to barter. Yeah, get your unlicensed haircuts. Black market haircuts.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's
Looking clean.
I think so.
Can I try racking it once?
Yeah. Oh, I tried racking it earlier, but you can do it again. You can check that it's empty.
Yeah, no, I can feel you did a good job lubing it. It's very lubed. Like it's way smoother than before. Very good.
Great. Thank you,
You always gotta
Hops
check.
Oil.
It took a jibs. Yeah. Omar says people are more open to liberty right now. I would
think
agree.
so.
From what
Yeah.
I've seen, the people who lost their
Agreed.
jobs are definitely ready to hear
Yeah, because they're
about.
like, what happened? I thought we were safe. Like,
Right.
and a lot of people too who were under the impression that this economy has like never been better. Like, believe that if they're big Trump supporters, for example, they really believe the narrative, like, oh, America's great now, right? It's keep America great now is the new slogan for Trump in the next election, which is implying that America's great now. Like he did it.
Gonna have a rough time
But
with that
that's
one.
what I'm saying. Like that's what so a lot of these people were under that illusion. And I feel sympathy for that. And so for them, it's like a rug being pulled out from under them. And it's like, wow, their whole worldview is shattering for some.
Some. Right.
Some
are
are
open
just
to
doubling
reason.
down more.
Some who are open to reason
But
and evidence.
yeah, some are open to reason evidence and really researching and probably looking things up like, the Federal Reserve printing money. What does that actually do? What does that cause? Is
Right.
that bad for the economy or good?
Yes,
So-
printing money.
Or like researching politicians and like what happened with Corona and how it like took long for them to finally like acknowledge it,
Yeah.
So I think there are a lot of people waking up and maybe coincidentally more people have time at home. So they're like spending more time online and looking things up. I know some people are.
Yeah.
But yeah.
People
like,
definitely
you
look it
find
up.
folk over here.
Yeah. No, I mean it's important, sharing your just basic knowledge. I mean, even if it's controversial posts, just like little Facebook posts just saying,
To
hey,
your friends.
the
your
shutdown's
network.
not ethical, it's gonna hurt more people, just start the conversation and start to like, post some reason and evidence about these things and just say, hey, look, the FDA, CDC stopped testing early, the Chinese government covered up the spread in the beginning. Look at how they're stopping distilleries from making hand sanitizer, and look at all these different ways the government has actually been preventing solutions. And meanwhile, they're shutting everybody down. And then, you could do compared to what's right. Like what's Sweden, that is the Swedish government doing? What's the Japanese government doing? Where those two countries, they didn't have shutdowns to every single thing. They're like, okay, keep some social distancing in mind, wash your hands, wear masks. If you're sick, just stay home. Elderly, hey, watch out. They didn't do let's just tell everybody to stop working and shut everything down and, go home. So, there's definitely great comparatives. There's great articles, especially Reason.com has done a good job of covering it pretty well. I think, my little opinion. John Stossel did some good coverage. The Mises Institute gets some good coverage. So there's lots of resources that cover it fairly well. So, you doing the takedown on the Glock?
Yeah, the Glock 44. So
Yeah. You know how the
are
Glock.
these the takedown thing?
That is, I would say go above and push down.
And so while the slide is locked back?
Let me see.
Or
I think the
do
slide goes down. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you can
the
drop
slide
it.
goes down?
I'm not much of a Glock man, so I got to.
Well, I could
let me
look up
see.
instructions.
Looking up instructions, huh? Who needs that?
Me.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think it is while it's up, actually.
Yeah. Taxation and stuff for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely while it's up. Okay.
Yeah, South Korea stayed open too.
Here, I'll let you do it because you need to.
Oh,
You need
here's
to learn.
another thing about basic economics. So thinking about human beings on a scale, recognizing that your predictions about humans should incorporate that they can change and they can learn and they can adapt and they
Right.
can create and they can come up with alternatives. And the which I really like what Alex Epstein emphasizes, which is like human ingenuity and allowing people to be free in order to pursue what they believe is the highest ability that they have or calling or whatever, you know? And it's totally um I like your CZ pyramid. That's really funny.
Yeah. My mag tower.
Oh yeah. Oh, did you disassemble it? Were you gonna do that?
No, you're doing that, not me.
Oh, but I need to look up instructions.
Oh no, I just push down the takedowns.
Oh well, it's locked.
And then push them both down from the
that's it?
top. So take your hand and put it on top. See this? Like that.
This?
But then push down on the two little
This?
switches there. Yeah,
So
yeah.
push it
So
down.
push them both down. Yeah, like they shouldn't be hard to push down. They're pretty tame.
Well,
Let me see.
okay. And I checked that it was empty.
Yeah, we
my
did.
finger
I can
thing.
see it too. I can corroborate. Oh wow! Oh, this is like coming out. Is that a design flaw?
I don't know because I don't know the instructions.
there we
so
go.
I literally have no idea.
I think it was the same thing that happened again, which was the trigger wasn't pulled. There you go. So there you go. Sorry.
Ah, because it's striker. Okay.
Right. So
Second
it's literally the same thing.
revelation.
So yeah, you actually just had to
Pull the trigger.
yeah, you didn't have to cock back, but you just pull a trigger and then pull a takedown, and then yeah.
Good to know.
I can logic it through, even though again I'm not a Glock guy. Never was.
That's cool.
but
You understand the internal workings.
I just play with it till it works.
I'd see you as a gun specialist.
I'm not. I've shot a lot of guns, but I'm not a
Okay,
gun
compared
specialist.
to what? Compared to me? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I have way more experience, but nah, I got more to
Oh,
go.
that's dirty.
I know enough how to,
Had
take
some
care
dating
of
issues
stuff and
towards the
shoot,
end.
but and field strips and stuff.
Well,
Whatever.
thanks for your specialization.
My pleasure. Yeah, I'm always learning. I got a lot more to learn and practice, and bad habits to break from my childhood. Back when I was running the streets,
You and your riffraff friends.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So this should be pretty easy. There's not too much spring pressure on this either. So if you want to see, there's the inside of the Glock 44 G44 22 LR.
Okay.
Yay.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
Very dirty.
yeah, Glocks can get dirty. That's for sure. Especially when you're shooting 22 LR.
Yeah.
Because 22 LR is
In
very
the
dirty.
beginning, it
round.
was feeding fine, and then, after like
How many rounds?
10 mags, 8 mags,
8 worth.
started getting a little dirty.
It's like 240, 240
Yeah.
bullet. Or 30, 320.
80. Because,
These are oh right,
10
I forgot.
10 round mags.
That's
Yeah.
right. You have 10 round. I forgot that it's 10 rounders.
I have assault mags in some
Yeah.
states.
Well,
according to
or this
some
is compliant,
politicians.
like in most states.
Really? 10?
Yeah, 10
I
is.
thought it was. Oh,
no,
never mind.
most
It's
is
10.
because even like New York's got struck down, and they keep trying to bring it back to 7 rounder, and even the courts they were like, yeah, no, that's stupid. But
So stupid.
that is crazy. That's absolutely
That's
insane.
crazy.
10's
It's like,
insane to
meanwhile,
me, but-
everyone with 10 rounds is living a peaceful life.
right.
It's like, why? It's like, who are these people that just come out of nowhere and they're like, hey, I want to change how you live and what you can own and what you can do.
Yeah.
You're just like, I don't even know you. Who are you? Like, where'd you grow up? I don't even what. So anyway,
So it's got the hold on switch.
by the way, Jack, is that a Hawaiian shirt from Boogs RS?
No. But
That
that's
should be
funny
a
though.
store.
I got it from a Cuban store, like Cubans who fled Cuba, and they're like in the middle of a little Greece section. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to go get. You got to go to those in the special stores that are like townies, and they just have a bunch of Hawaiian shirts for tourists. That's where you get the real stuff, The real Hawaiians.
Yeah, I do like the striker fires and how they're easy to field trip.
Yeah,
Like
that is
really
true. There's a
easy.
benefit.
I get it. I get it. I get
See
the
there.
appeal. All right, I get it.
That's the Glock. It's just basically a piece of plastic. You could practically 3D print it right now.
That's pretty cool.
I mean,
though.
really, you could if you had the
I
right
mean,
materials.
that's pretty cool.
You basically could 3D print a Glock. But then you get the metal parts for the barrel.
Right.
So,
Dirty.
I mean, that'd be really cool if one day there was a plastic that was strong enough to take the heat and pressure from a cartridge explosion. That would be wild. Whoever comes up with that would be very, very wealthy. To
So
make,
you could 3D print the whole thing.
yeah, or just be able to like make a very lightweight gun. You know, the barrel's not even heavy. It's just like literally all plastics, but the plastic is actually somehow strong enough to take both the heat and the pressure without cracking or without having flaws.
It's like
That would be impressive.
radioactive. No, I'm just kidding.
That'd be crazy. But yeah.
Hey, doesn't it kind of feel
One day.
anyone watch Chernobyl on
Oh,
no,
Chernobyl.
Netflix or Amazon? I think it was Amazon.
Amazon,
Prime.
I think.
Yeah. It just feels like that outside,
Yeah.
right? Like people wearing PPE. I don't know. It's just like
Yeah.
it's deserted.
Yeah.
Government cracking down, martial law.
Yeah.
Secrets.
That's
government
true. Right?
secrets.
And that, like,
And there's a Corona task force, just like it's the Ministry of
truth.
Response to Nuclear.
Right.
Like-
And the government's sending up spaceships in the name of Space Force. That to me is concerning because I'm like, oh gosh, are they going to fake an alien invasion next? Like, what's next?
Oh man, right.
What's the next big scam by the government?
Well, just trying to live our lives.
Yeah.
This is a huge plunder. You know, it's another transfer of wealth from people trying to rise up, you know, and get more income, save, and earn more, you know, be able to trade for like more things or whatever, have people value their skills more in the market. And a lot of them just have their lives on hold just by force. But otherwise, the people they're interacting with still want to interact with them. But literally, there's this like third party, this group of people who are like, no, give us a cut, you know? And they're like, too bad, you need to shut down. And it's very insane. And I think people need to recognize that it's very much planned. This, not necessarily Corona or anything. I'm just saying, like,
oh, even that could be engineered. You know, we don't know yet.
Yeah, at the very least, the time in which they covered it to the point where people would even panic and actually start getting supplies. You know, they took the chance and sold their stocks and stuff like that. And these people who knew ahead of time, politicians, you know, they're the ones that get to line their pockets. And then like, okay, we're safe now. All right, let's just like plan and how can we use this to implement this policy that we've always wanted, or like spy on American citizens, or like steal more from them, or have universal health care, or universal income, or Andrew Yang like $1,000 check. Oh, now 2,000, like whatever, you know. So we just people. I hope, and I'm really trying to get people to recognize, like, there are people in power that don't have your best interests, and you get them out. Like, and expose them. Like, at the end of the day, these are real human beings that you just need to expose them for who they are, and not like pretend that they're anything but your oppressors, because that's literally insane. That's like Jeffrey Dahmer is your president, and you're just, I'm not saying he is, I'm just saying, you know, it's as if he was, like, you know, you just like, oh, it's fine, you know, government takes care of me. It's like, do you not see literally it's Jeffrey Dahmer in the White House, or Charlie Manson, or whatever?
Yeah.
Someone
was mentioning here about Event 201 and like the, you know, Bill Gates simulation. I mean, that's very fascinating. It's very eerie because, well, I mean, Bill Gates has been doing this for a long time, talking about trying to get everybody vaccinated and worrying about pandemics and stuff. But, you know, to me, it's one of those things where it almost seems either it inspired action, or was a blueprint for somebody potentially. I mean, definitely in terms of Bill Gates' influence and connections, and his mission and his vision, which again he has been clear about his vision for many years now in terms of what he sees about viruses and pandemics and population and vaccines. That is not like a new thing or mystery. I mean, that's a long history you can follow up on with Bill Gates. But just how oddly connected it is to reality in such a short span of time certainly raises some eyebrows, and makes you question, is this as a pandemic, or is it just Bill Gates maybe was so influential that he inspired the response, which is shutting down everything, because that was Bill Gates' call to action. Bill Gates' call to action was shut down everything and then give people certificates or, some other metric to forcibly say you've been vaccinated or not. I mean, it's
right. It doesn't tell you anything about who started it or which people did, if it was human actors or if it was just a phenomenon in nature. I don't know. Right. Like what you do know is that he advocated for a certain kind of response. And he said it was governments around the world, corporations around the world joining together to fight and control the spread of the virus. So that's the part that to me was creepy. It was like, okay, that's all right. I got it. He's like, that's creepy. And also in a Ask Me Anything, he said that what he would want to do is have like a certificate if people got like tested for corona or like had it at some point, and he wants mandatory vaccinations, and he also doesn't want people to recover from the virus, and because he doesn't want he wants them to be tracked as having had it. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, he's clear about his tyrannical goals. So it's concerning, because he's a very intelligent guy and obviously very influential, and it's very concerning to see someone who has that much power and influence be so interested in trying to centrally plan people's lives and attempt to force medical decisions on people and attempt to use governments to control and track and monitor people. That all that is extremely concerning.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's becoming a reality for a lot of people. I mean, even the UK, right? The UK, the government's like, oh, yep, you can just pull your cell phone data and track where you're going. And they're already floating the idea of having certificates for getting back to work, being tested. I mean, these are, seemingly science fiction or dystopians slowly
getting
becoming
a
reality.
Certificate to go back to work. Literally now getting your permission.
Yeah.
To be deemed whether what you do is okay or not.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Just overnight tyranny. It really was just in some places just declared, and then that's it. Like,
right.
Literally immediately started happening. So that's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. My heart definitely goes out to everyone who's like stuck in those places. So.
Yeah, it definitely requires, some people seriously at a bare minimum on the, just the legal side suing over it. I don't have anything for myself personally at this point that we were suing over technically, but I had some thresholds that I was thinking about suing over, but I think in other there's definitely other states where I think people's thresholds should be there and strong and reasonable in terms of actually coming up with a good argument to get it stricken. There's some certain types of things, curfews or certain types of restrictions. Unfortunately, the U.S. government and especially many state governments have declared themselves with the power to be able to quarantine people by force and stop business by force, and that's it's very scary.
Definitely, it is. Yeah. It really is papers, please. What's the difference? It's
it's
like
it literally is
the Soviet Union.
I mean, people look say, "Oh, never again." Like Holocaust and Nazis is like literally the exact same thing.
Yeah, they say that never again. It's like it's unfolding, it's happening before right now. Your very eyes.
Demonization of people as essential versus non-essential. Right there, you go. That's alienating people and trying to make people seem they're evil or unworthy of life.
Have they stopped and slowed down on the wars? No.
No. Yeah, they've increased it actually. And Trump is already, he threatened, drug war violence, against Maduro, which again is just two bad guys fighting each other, but. And then there's this looming threat of, is there going to be a war with China? Because is there something that like the Chinese government's going to do now? They're like, we can just, use a bioweapon and look, we can shut down the entire American economy, right? I mean, that's actually a reasonable thing. And again, shutting down the entire American economy is not the virus. It's the fact, it's the government reaction, right? They're like, okay.
Like, that's not a necessary reaction of coronavirus.
Right. It's not necessarily coronavirus.
It's literally the government shutting
right. It's the
down.
Chinese government
because
realizing
most people would be like,
make it happen.
All right, I'd rather risk getting corona and then getting it over with, and also just risk being successful. Like at the same time, like by going out, they'd rather, try to be successful and risk getting sick. So I think people should have that freedom, and I think that that's why the economy would just continue in most places, because most people have the incentive to keep going. Unless they're really out, unless they have it, they
right. I mean, there's people who are asymptomatic and they can, transmit it. But again, it's all risk and reward. People need to individually decide what their risk and reward is.
Take that risk upon themselves.
Right.
It's not the person who, in their own property, in their own business, set up shop. Like the guy who owns the laundromat or whatever. If he goes to his laundromat and he's like, hey, I'm open, you can come in if you want. If he's a carrier, well, it's your risk that you went in there.
Right.
It's your risk that you went outside. It's your risk that you got in your car.
Right. It should be up to individuals to choose
most people get it for a lot of things, but they just have this weird exception for whatever. And I guess that's part of our job, is to show people, hey, you have this principle, you're just not applying it consistently.
And the central planners pretend like as if people wouldn't use discernment, that is choosing their risks in how they go about things. They wouldn't think like, oh, okay, people might say, okay, well, I'm going to mostly stay in, but if I need stuff, I'm going to look for a grocer or a restaurant that cares. And like, it's like we're wiping down stuff. And you see that like they have no calculation in their modeling of people rationally saying, okay, here's my risks and my rewards. I'm going to look and see who's open, who's not, who's actually taking serious or not, and go accordingly, right? People are going to be like, oh, well, this supermarket, they're having senior mornings for elderly people and they're cleaning everything. And they say they want to make sure that, there's a differentiation between those who, might likely get it and those who aren't, and cleaning it properly. I mean, that's where people would probably want to go, right? The place that they think is cleaning and taking care of stuff, and they bring their wipes and whatever.
And they bring their money.
Right.
And those businesses that are focused on cleanliness now suddenly are bringing in more revenue. And maybe you can finally allow businesses that don't care, people who don't care, to fail.
Right.
Instead of like injecting so much money into them at the force of others, government, taxes, bailouts. To these failing people who don't understand efficiency and don't provide value in the market, like just keeping these people afloat.
Well, that's
at
the thing.
Cost of everybody else by force.
The government's forcing people out.
Why are we bailing out GM over and over? It's like I want a Asian car, East Asian car, or like a Tesla. It's like I don't want a GM, but those government contracts, man, those bailouts.
Yeah.
Say.
Well, now the government is, of course, destroying businesses, and then there's like 700 trillion plus that's meant for loans. So the government's literally going to force businesses to go into near bankruptcy or bankruptcy, and then basically become the supposed savior by offering loans. And then a bunch of businesses are basically going to be owing loans to the government, and they're going to be like, oh, see, look, the government's a savior. Meanwhile, the government's the one who destroyed the businesses by destroying the conditions for people being free and trading, and then coming and giving them loans and getting them on government doles. So I think the whole plan, if there is one, which I mean, to me, the circumstantial evidence seems to be the case, that it's to break down as many people as possible and get as many people as possible hooked on the welfare state. So everybody's sucked into the idea that the government is their savior. Because if they can do that, especially with smaller businesses that are getting loans as opposed to the bigger businesses, the big megacorps that are getting direct handouts, that'd be the idea, is to undermine people who are on the edge or people who are business owners in small to mid level and get them all into this idea of government's your savior and you want, government socialism and bailouts.
Insidious,
Sorry, now I have corona.
Oh,
no, I'm just kidding.
That's really well explained. It's so insidious.
It is very insidious.
Because they come in as the savior, but they're actually the wolf. They're the one eating you, Um, man, I've been getting the every now and then after reading, hearing about certain things going on in the world, especially like so right now,
Mhm.
getting those Dead Prez Let's Get Free vibes from that album. And one of that what you just said reminds me of they have a clip of Huey P. Newton talking about a metaphor for in some sub-Saharan African tribe, the way they kill a wolf is they put a blade in like ice and because and so they just have a piece of blade frozen in ice but just a little bit of the blade peeking out and they put blood over the blade on the ice and so the wolf comes and thinks and like licks the blood and because it's licking ice its tongue is frozen so it doesn't feel it's cutting itself and then eventually it dies because it's actually like licking its own blood over and over.
Aye.
Okay, that's
I
crazy.
thought there was
right?
gonna be like poison or something. Like
No.
it like eventually likes poison, then it dies.
Right.
No, okay. That's,
No, I'm just saying like
that's pretty brutality.
yeah, but like you think of like checks, welfare, Medicare, Medicaid, government coming in. You think that they're saving you because they have this facade, but what you didn't see is they did this all at the force and fraud of your neighbors,
Mhm.
of you, and
Yeah.
that's the insidious part. These people that claim to be our protectors, our bodyguards, really aren't. They're snakes.
Right.
There's some, very, very few that I've seen, Ron Paul, maybe, Thomas Massey, maybe, that seem to be genuinely wanting to protect people. I don't know. But, there's a lot of people who really don't. They're just here to suck off whatever income and they'll say
Mhm.
whatever they want, change whatever they need to say. Like Lincoln Chafee running for libertarian president. I'm like, this guy's gonna say anything.
Yep. And he did.
He doesn't care.
He doesn't care.
Right. It's not about principles for him.
No.
So those are the people like I just want to get them out of here. Those
Yeah.
are the snakes.
There's a lot of
And
them.
they need to be exposed. So, there are
Yeah.
a lot of them.
A lot of sophists. A lot of people want power, and they just want to rule others, and that's it. They just want to tell other people how to live their lives.
Yeah, it just bothers me. They make so much money. Like
Yeah.
over 170,000 is what, like Congress, House of
Mhm.
Reps.
Senate, House of Reps.
Senators.
Yeah, they make like 176,000, I think, or something.
Dude, that's crazy.
74, I don't know.
So many people are just struggling. And do you know the people who help fund their checks? People who make 30,000, 40,000, 50, like who are like scraping by and like pay property taxes too.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, well, their salaries ain't nothing compared to all the other stuff that they do. So
I'm just saying that's just
yeah,
their base.
stuff that they do otherwise in terms of war and home and abroad, in terms of criminalizing nonviolent activity, it is maddening. So how's that block there holding up? Getting
How
clean?
are you holding up there?
I'm great. I'm doing great. I wish I had cookies. That's the only thing I wish I had.
You don't have cookies?
I'm out of cookies.
Oh my
It's
god.
one of the
That's
tragic
really sad.
consequences of. Yeah, maybe that's why I need to
Stay
sue over
home,
next.
stay safe.
I need
No.
to sue over my lack of cookies. I'm like, I have a right to cookies.
You go to FPC.
Right, yeah.
They're like
Where's my cookies?
the right to bear cookies. They're like,
Yeah.
we're trying to protect
Yeah.
the Second Amendment from you. Like cookies.
Yeah. No, that's just me because you're busy.
I don't know.
Shooting guns all day and you forget to get cookies and then you're out. It's just how it goes. Just how it
Alright,
goes.
I'll put this back. So it's
I mean,
lubed
are
up,
there, yeah.
and
I wonder if there are any late night food places even open because a lot of places they close early for the sake of
to
cleaning up.
clean. Yeah.
Right. Like a lot of places, will shut down at 8:00 just because they want to like do all the things they need to do to like wipe down all the surfaces and clean stuff and just make sure, everything's super squeaky. But, I don't know. What do you do when you're hungry at night? And the government shut down most of the food places. So that's when the looting is going to happen, right? All those people who get the late night munchies and they can't get their munchies. And then it begins. And then the zombie apocalypse begins. That was disappointing. Coronavirus.
Okay, I
we didn't just
laugh,
get
but there's
zombies.
like, what is it? over 6 million people now have filed for unemployment.
Over 10 million. It's way more than that now, from my understanding and
The number keeps
observation.
rising up. Like literally, like 4 days ago it was 3.
Oh, it's the highest in
Then
U.S.
a couple
history.
days later,
Yeah.
6. Now you're saying 10.
It was
Do you realize
literally
that's like, what is
yeah,
that,
3,
like
9,
a
and 6.
town? Like what kind of popular city is that? Like 10
A
million
big
people.
major
like,
city. Like maybe not New York City, but
yeah, New York City.
no, it's bigger than that. But a very big
That's a lot
city.
of people. That's
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how. I mean, do you have an understanding of how much of that would be people who are just doing it for convenience? Like,
Oh no, it's
Or it's, like,
all
legit, they got
it's virtually
fired.
all. No, it's not. I
They
mean, you
can't
could say
work.
fired, but no, yeah, all of it canceled, fired, banned out of existence, furloughed, whatever you want to call it. It's all tied to the government shutting down business, straight up, 100%. There's not, it's straight up 100% was government saying, "Oh, you can't work." Oh, well, guess what? That means they can't work. That means they're going to be out of a job now. When the business says, "Oh, hey, we're closing down. We can't, we're not allowed to open anymore." So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's kind of almost comedically sad how like disconnected these people are from the reality. They just think, oh, we could just say they're not essential and then things will be fine, right? It's like you just literally caused tens of millions, because it will be tens of millions. It'll be more than
Who
10
are you
million.
talking
It'll be
about?
20 million.
Politicians?
Yeah, like
'Cause
they
it's
make it.
intention.
Well, again, there's I don't,
Okay, so you're
there's
saying there's
certain
different
levels.
levels.
but I would think, the smaller the government, the more likely they're just dumb.
Stupid.
Right. They're just local petty tyrants. The higher you go, the more intelligent usually you have to be to survive in those
Yeah,
environments.
once you get to the federal.
Yeah, federal is very, that's where you're like, suiciding people.
Sociopath.
Hillary Clinton.
You're like high IQ sociopath.
Yeah,
basically.
the most high IQ socio-psychopath you can imagine.
Right.
So, but your local petty tyrant are like completely ignorant. They're just like, Karen from the local city council's like, yeah, we need to shut down all the stores
Okay,
right
that's
now.
true. But she really believes it.
She
doesn't.
right.
She,
She has
really
no
doesn't
idea that
get
you're just
how many
destroying the
people she's
entire
gonna
economy.
hurt.
Right.
Right.
They just think, oh, they'll be fine. I
know,
have savings. They should have savings.
I have to wonder, what do these, like, so many tragedies have happened? Who are these people that, like, did they not get the information of what happens to people? Like, what their policies
Well, the
are,
people who
so-
are promulgating this, I'm going to butcher his last name, but Fauci, Fauci, I don't know. I think it's Italian.
Dr. Fauci?
He's is it Fauci? I don't even know.
For Corona task.
I'm not good
Force,
with, those Italian names. I always butcher them. So
okay. It's amazing.
basically, if in his history, I got to read a little bit about his history, but he's basically a big central planner guy. So when you look at some of the people who are the scientists, again, and this is the funny part, like anybody who would actually sit there and be like, okay, there's these different scientists, epidemiologists talking about the situation. You'd be like, okay, yeah, I mean, they're experts, whatever you could say, and like, to some degree of whatever field they're specialized in. But when you actually look at their other things they might opine about when it comes to economics or even like climate change and stuff like that, and you're like, wait, these people thought that like the earth was going to be underwater in 2015. You're like, wait a second, like these people think the economic pie is fixed. Like, I mean, when you actually go and look at their other beliefs and their values, and you realize, wait, okay, yeah, they can be like, well, we can describe how a virus spreads and possibilities for contagiousness, but when they start going outside of that into going to, oh, here's our suggestions, you realize these are literally Malthusians who have no concept of effects when it comes to shutting things down. They just think, hey, it's just like a video game. You just shut it down, duh. Like, I mean, hello. So, I mean, when you actually go back in these people's histories and look at their other opinions, then, the respect there should start to dwindle. Definitely. Very much so. Because people say, oh, get rely on the scientists and the experts. And like, yes, they're experts in knowing about how, a virus is composed and the risks of, spread in terms of, what could potentially happen. They are not knowledgeable in the comparatives and trade-offs and thinking through what other horrible things could happen based on certain courses of forcible action. And once you look at their other beliefs or other opinions, this really starts to percolate to the surface, and you're like, oh, you really shouldn't listen to anything they have to say outside of, okay, there is a virus that's been spread, and some people could die, some people could get very sick. Okay, now what? Well, don't listen to them anymore. You know what I mean? Just the fact that they recognize there's a virus does not mean that they are the ethical gods of what should happen next in terms of every other possible human action, especially when they have no semblance of an idea of what the other ripple effects would be in certain policies. and have proven their ignorance otherwise in other statements. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty nuts. So,
So how do I put this back?
oh, you just slide it on.
Okay.
Yeah, you just slide it. It's a Glock. It'll go together.
I'll just go.
It's a Glock.
It's a clock.
Yeah. Trusted around the world by all kinds of tyrants and police officers.
True.
And then you just got to reset that switch, pull it back a little bit,
How?
and they just come back up.
Oh, this goes back up.
They will, yeah. They should reset. You got to pull the.
Oh,
It's like it
pull
should
back.
slide. Yeah, keep going. There you go. See it clicks.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. Now cock it and lock it and rock it.
That's so weird.
Shoot.
Cock it and lock it.
Well,
and
I mean,
rock it.
well, I mean, yeah. You cock it. I mean, yes. Okay, everything looks good, and then close the slide, and then fire it, and
I'm
obviously there's no
pretty sure
bullets in
it's
it. You just
empty.
watched it. It was empty. I can see
I
it's
know,
empty
but
from
you
here.
just gotta make sure.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All right, and then fire.
Crazier things have
And
happened
even though I know it's empty, I'm still gonna point it
in a
not
safe
at Jack.
direction. Yeah, always point in a safe direction. Don't test it on me. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Nice, great.
Feels good.
That's great.
Yeah, so I like this Glock. You know, this is a
Right.
Glock I can handle. Doing a Glock like 42, 19, 17 feels good at first. Like the sights on it, just hurts my hand, the grips, with that much like recoil and power. But for this little Plinker 22 LR,
Yeah.
it's fine. And I love the mechanics of a Glock. There's just something about it. But I also, at the same time, using both of these striker fires, the Masada and the Glock, I really missed my 1911. And I really want
Which 1911? Oh, the Rock? Or which 1911?
I've just tried so many 1911s. I think one of my favorite ones was the Browning 1911
Mhm.
380. If
Yeah.
I could find the Browning 1911 in 9mm,
You can't.
yeah, that thing felt so good.
Well, that's not. See, that's the thing. I
but
think
it was like a full size.
if you want to go back on the 1911 train, I really think that maybe you should consider, you know, just a really well built single stack. You know,
Mm.
maybe just again the
like
grip is not
12
overwhelming for
rounds.
you. Well, they're usually 8 to 10.
Oh,
You
I
might be
see.
get lucky. I mean, it depends on if weight. I mean, again, weight has to be a non-issue too. But I mean, you know,
I mean, there's so many things about it. It doesn't have to have 17 rounds.
I have to have 17 round. But yeah, I mean, if you have, if
But-
you can get one to 10 to 12 somehow, I mean, you know, that's pretty good.
I mean, for me, part of the defense
not the
is
worst.
having something that I know is reliable that I
Right.
can point and shoot
Right.
easily. And I still want to get a flashlight for this, right?
Well, don't get it light for that before you've really tested that through and know you
I
like
know
it.
that I like it. I know.
Yeah.
But
Feels like-
right
yeah,
now,
we
I
don't need
like
more
the dot
accessories.
sight. The feeding issue was starting to bother me, but now that it's lubed up, I'm excited to try it again and just see, you know, if
Yeah.
it doesn't have that same issue. Of the squibs. It wasn't a squib load.
It wasn't a squib.
I forgot what it's called, but I just remember squib because it's funny.
Well, you had a failure to feed issue is what.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't see. Part of me still wonders if having the dot, you know, the iron sights here, if that would just be better than the dot sight.
Themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say.
I want to practice more because
Yeah.
after, I think towards the end, like I had one more mag before time was over. 17 rounds. And yeah, I just moved the dot sight all the way up as far as it could go. And I lined it up where I would expect the front and the rear sights to be balanced. I didn't look through them because the dot sight is higher than my irons. So they're not supposed to be the same. They're going to necessarily be higher than my irons. So that's what I saw. And my groupings were much better and my shots were more accurate. So I'm excited to go back and try it out. And yeah, you know, it's on my mind. Some people say, hey, why do you focus on guns? You should be talking about economics or X.
I think we did talk about
or
economics.
whatever insert topic that I really
Jorge,
care about
we're
here.
talking to you,
Oh.
Jorge. No.
That was one.
Just kidding.
But
You're awesome, Jorge. It's all
yeah.
good.
Oh, but I was just saying, like, for me, I love guns. I love the idea of learning how to defend myself. That's really what it is at its
Mhm.
core. So yeah, that's why I talk about firearms. And it's cool. Like, I don't get it. Like, as much as I talk about pho and food, I mean, it'd be as funny as someone being like, "Why do you take pictures of you eating pho or eating spring rolls?" Like, I don't know. I just really like pho, and that's the point. I'm the philosopher. I like pho and philosophy. Okay. Eh, and also I just like the market and showing the food I like. But anyway, so that's just my reason because some people ask. So yeah, there you go. That's why.
Well, it's also empowering to, know how to use that and defend yourself. I think it's a great kind of like a gate opener or like a gateway to thinking about taking care of yourself and the idea that you're your first defender and you're responsible for your life.
Yeah.
When someone's taking responsibility for themselves and their protection, I think it opens up that dialogue about how, it's not the government that's supposed to be your protector or your bodyguard. You are ultimately responsible to protect yourself. And by empowering yourself and sharing that knowledge with others and growing, you're actually helping people be more resilient against a tyrannical government, at least at a bare minimum at the beginning, just physically. But of course, with that springs the ability to really think and challenge that idea of, okay, if I'm supposed to be responsible for myself and I have a right to myself and not, I'm ultimately responsible. How do we take that in other areas of life too? Taking responsibility for yourself and not expecting the government to, be your big daddy or your, protector for everything, or, the nanny state to tell you what you can or can't eat or you can't drink.
Also, some people have this weird dichotomy between having guns, and any other weapon, whether it's your fists, your hands, your feet, running away, whatever. That's all self-defense. Like, some people have this weird idea that guns are not self-defense. They're only used for murder and killing. It's like, are your hands only used for murder? No. Is this knife only used for murder? No. Like, what? Like, no. It's like, it's all about self-defense. First of all, define self-defense. Defending yourself. Okay, you can do that with a bomb. You can do that with a gun. You can. It's really not. Yeah. Anyway, so
My
I
guns
just
have
think
shot
that's
paper
interesting.
targets.
Where does that come from? Like, what is that? Hollywood? Like, that people have this weird, shady idea of guns.
Definitely Hollywood
over anything else. Like,
the producers there and
guns.
and government, they want to boogeyman it because the goal is to make it seem as if this is something that's too crazy for anybody to meaningfully learn. You're not special enough. You have to get a badge in order to learn self-defense and learn how to use guns. And that's the most evil thing possible, is to make people think that they need the government to rubber stamp their training. Not that they don't need training. It's just that they need the government to give them permission to take that learning experience and to build self-confidence in defending themselves. Yeah. So
I like how guy that comments, welcome, know you. So good people have a better chance at killing bad people if need be. Agreed. I agree.
Right.
I mean, you sound like a good person. I want you to be able to defend yourself from a bad person if they show up,
Yeah.
If need be.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think we'll take all this stuff and finally put it away. So thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out during our clean stream and basic economics talk, as well as current events talk.
Yeah.
So
scarcity, efficiency.
Well, I'm sure we'll be doing more because, hey, there's only so much you can do out there. Not that I don't want to do things as much as possible, but when everything's closed, it's harder to do things.
Well, it was nice going out to the range, so that was open.
Going to the range is nice. Cool. Well, that's not open at night, unfortunately.
Yeah, I do miss being able to see the same people we saw at the restaurants who, they a lot of restaurants are getting heavily impacted.
Oh, yeah.
I feel sad for that because the to-goes are not going to keep up because a lot of people would rather just stay inside. And also, if during this calamitous time they don't have money, are they really going to be spending money on going out to eat?
No.
Or are they going to be trying to conserve what money they have left?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's going to be a very tragic end for many restaurants. It's really very sick and
good,
sad.
Hardworking people too.
Yeah, people making delicious food and providing great
And
value and
good service,
conveniences.
good customer service, happy people just trying to live life, and they're just
Right.
really kind people. It's just
Yeah.
breaks my heart. I hope a lot of these people had savings. The particular people are thinking,
didn't.
but some of them that we knew,
Just
but
based on everything
yeah.
that we know about the economy and the current debts, mortgage debts, student loan debts, and everything.
yeah.
Now everybody's in debt to each. And it's like, as someone said, how do we get people in debt to that is tenants in debt to landlords who are in debt to the corporations? Like everybody's in constant debt. Like who are they in debt to? It's like there's an answer to that. It's the Federal Reserve and the international banks that comprise the ancient lending system, central banking system, going back to London Bank.
Holy shit.
And the U.S. government's a part of
Dude,
that.
that's crazy.
But
like it goes
yeah.
back that far.
Yeah, hundreds of years in the modern
All
sense.
right,
Yeah.
let's close off
Yeah, we gotta
on
close
what
off.
people should look up, and then we'll leave.
Oh,
that
like
note.
if you want some entertaining
About
footage.
the Federal Reserve. Well, the London Bank, like that's crazy. That history. If you're saying what's happening now
Uh-huh.
is just another cycle of what is a historical.
Uh-huh. The Money Masters is
power
good.
system.
It's on YouTube for free. The Money Masters. So 1996 Money Masters, and then Overdose: The Next Financial Crisis.
And that's 4 hours long, by the way.
That's
Money
a
Masters.
long,
So,
documentary.
if
You can
need the time.
you can kill a lot of time with nothing to do on the weekend.
Right.
So
what was the other one?
So and Overdose: The Next Financial Crisis. Those are good documentaries just to think about it. So.
Cool. All right. Well, with that, yes, Mike Maloney's great. Peter Schiff's great. Okay. Thank you guys so much. We will see you guys again. Stay safe, stay prepped, stay strapped. You guys are awesome. Thanks for hanging out with us.
See you later.
Bye.